The dusty harmattan wind whipped at the new students as buses pulled through the imposing gates of FGC. The vast campus, a blend of old colonial architecture and newer structures, seemed to stretch endlessly. Amina, her hijab neatly arranged, felt a knot of anxiety tighten in her stomach. The journey from her village in Kano had been long, and the sight of so many unfamiliar faces was overwhelming. Beside her, Fatih, her roommate for the year, squeezed her hand. "Don't worry, Amina. We'll be fine." Fatih, though also from the north, possessed a more outgoing nature. Across the courtyard, the boys were unloading their luggage. Ibro, his eyes wide with a mix of awe and apprehension, struggled to keep up with the bustling crowd. He had never seen so many people from different backgrounds gathered in one place. The presence of girls, freely interacting in the open, was a stark contrast to his conservative upbringing. Chidi, a whirlwind of energy, was already making friends, his infectious laughter echoing through the air. Jerry, his roommate, watched him with a mixture of amusement and exasperation. "You're going to get us into trouble," he muttered. The girls were led to their dormitory, a sprawling building with rows of neatly arranged rooms. Mrs. Lucy, her face kind but firm, greeted them at the entrance. "Welcome, ladies. I hope you will all find your home here." The boys were directed to their own dormitory, a similar structure on the opposite side of the campus. Mr. Ade, his voice calm and reassuring, addressed them. "Gentlemen, this is your home for the next few years. Let us make it a place of respect and unity." The first day was a blur of introductions, uniform fittings, and orientation sessions. Amina and Fatih found their room, a small but cozy space with 2 beds and a shared wardrobe. They began unpacking, their conversation a mix of nervous chatter and whispered prayers. Ibro and Jerry found their room, and tried to quickly make their beds. Chidi was already exploring the dorm, and talking to everyone. The dining hall, a vast space filled with long tables, was a cacophony of sounds and smells. Students from different regions spoke in a mix of languages, their voices blending into a vibrant tapestry. Amina, observing the scene from her table, felt a sense of both fascination and unease. Later, as the sun began to set, the students gathered in the assembly hall for a welcome address. The principal, a stern-looking man with a booming voice, spoke of the school's mission to foster national unity. "Here," he declared, "we are all Nigerians, regardless of our tribe or religion." As the students returned to their dormitories, a sense of anticipation hung in the air. The first day was over, but the journey had just begun. The clash of cultures was inevitable, but so was the potential for understanding and growth. The morning bell, a jarring clang, roused the students from their sleep. Amina, after performing her morning prayers, dressed in a crisp white uniform. She felt a sense of anticipation mixed with apprehension. Today was the first day of classes, and she was eager to see how she would fare in this new environment. In the boys' dormitory, Ibro struggled to adjust to the early morning routine. He was used to waking up with the sun, not the sound of a bell. The presence of other boys, their voices and movements filling the room, was a constant distraction. The students gathered in the classrooms, a mix of boys and girls sitting side by side. Amina felt a blush rise to her cheeks as she took her seat next to a boy she didn't know. The mixed-gender classroom setting was foreign to her. The first class was English language, taught by Mrs. Okon. She began with a vocabulary exercise, writing a list of words on the chalkboard. "Who can tell me the meaning of assimilation?" she asked, her eyes scanning the room. Tolu, her hand raised high, answered confidently, "It means the process of adapting to a new culture or environment." "Very good, Tolu," Mrs. Okon nodded. "Now, can someone give me an example?" Chidi, his hand raised, grinned. "Like, when people from different tribes come to FGC school and learn to live together." Mrs. Okon smiled. "Exactly, Chidi. This school is a microcosm of Nigeria, a place where we learn to assimilate and appreciate each other's differences." Ibro, however, felt a sense of unease. The word assimilation seemed to imply a loss of identity, a blurring of cultural boundaries. He wondered if he would be forced to abandon his own traditions and beliefs. The lesson continued, but Ibro's mind was preoccupied. He found it difficult to concentrate, his attention constantly drawn to the girl sitting nearby. He felt a sense of guilt, as if he were doing something wrong. Amina, too, felt a sense of distraction. The presence of boys in the classroom, their voices and movements, made it difficult for her to focus. She longed for the familiar comfort of an all-girls environment. The first class was a microcosm of the larger cultural clashes that were to come. The students were beginning to realize that FGC school was not just a school, it was a social experiment, a place where they would be forced to confront their own prejudices and learn to navigate a diverse world. The issue of religious attire quickly became a point of contention at FGC school. While the school aimed for inclusivity, the interpretation of uniform regulations and the expression of religious identity led to friction. Amina, a devout Muslim, wore her hijab with pride. It was a symbol of her faith and her cultural identity. However, some teachers and students viewed it with suspicion, seeing it as a sign of religious conservatism. One morning, during assembly, a teacher, Mr. Okoro, approached Amina. "Amina," he said, his voice stern, "your hijab is not part of the school uniform. You need to remove it." Amina was taken aback. "But sir," she protested, "it's part of my religion." "I understand," Mr. Okoro replied, "but school rules are school rules. You can wear it outside of school hours." Amina felt a surge of anger and humiliation. She couldn't believe that she was being forced to choose between her faith and her education. She looked around, noticing the curious glances of other students. Fatih, standing beside her, squeezed her hand in support. "Don't worry, Amina," she whispered. "We'll figure something out." Later that day, Amina and Fatih approached Mrs. Lucy, the female housemistress, to discuss the issue. Mrs. Lucy listened patiently, her expression sympathetic. "I understand your concerns," she said. "The school is trying to be inclusive, but there are also uniform regulations that need to be followed. I will look into this and see if we can find a compromise." Meanwhile, the hijab controversy had become a topic of discussion among the students. Some students, like Tolu, saw it as a matter of school discipline. "Rules are rules," she argued. "Everyone should follow them." Other students, like Chidi, saw it as a matter of religious freedom. "It's her right to wear her hijab," he said. "The school shouldn't force her to remove it." Ibro, listening to the debate, felt a sense of unease. He was used to seeing women wear hijabs in his community, but he also understood the need for school regulations. He was caught between tradition and modernity, unsure of where he stood. The hijab controversy highlighted the complexities of navigating religious diversity in a secular institution. It raised questions about religious freedom, cultural identity, and the balance between individual expression and school regulations. The following day, Mrs. Lucy informed Amina that the school had decided to allow her to wear her hijab, as long as it was in the school's colors. This was a partial victory, but it was a step in the right direction. Amina felt a sense of relief, but she also realized that the struggle for religious acceptance was far from over. The hijab controversy had exposed the underlying tensions and prejudices that existed within the school community. This chapter delves into the complexities of religious expression and the challenges of balancing faith with institutional rules. Remember to keep developing the character's emotional responses and interactions. Despite the cultural clashes, moments of unity and understanding began to emerge at FGC school. One of the most common grounds for connection was, unsurprisingly, food. The school's dining hall, with its diverse array of dishes, became a place where students from different regions could share their culinary traditions and learn about each other's cultures. Chidi, ever the social butterfly, was always eager to try new foods. He would often venture to different tables, asking students about their meals and sharing his own. "This suya is amazing," he exclaimed one day, his mouth full of spicy grilled meat. "Where are you from?" "Kano," replied the boy sitting opposite him. "It's a northern specialty." "I've never had anything like it," Chidi said, his eyes wide with admiration. "It's much better than the pepper soup they serve here sometimes." Ibro, initially hesitant to try unfamiliar foods, gradually began to open up. He discovered a fondness for pounded yam and egusi soup, a southern delicacy. He also shared his own northern dishes, like tuashinkifa, with his classmates. Amina and Fatih, too, found themselves drawn to the communal aspect of the dining hall. They would often sit with other Muslim girls, sharing stories and laughter over plates of jollof rice and fried plantains. One evening, the school organized a cultural night, where students were encouraged to showcase their regional traditions. The event was a vibrant display of Nigeria's diversity, with students dressed in colorful attire, performing traditional dances, and sharing their local cuisine. Amina and Fatih participated in a Hausa dance, their graceful movements captivating the audience. Tolu, dressed in a stylish Yoruba outfit, performed a lively dance with her friends. Chidi and Jerry, representing the Igbo culture, presented a skit that had the audience in stitches. Ibro, initially reluctant to participate, was eventually persuaded to play the talking drum, his rhythmic beats adding to the festive atmosphere. He felt a sense of pride as he shared his cultural heritage with his classmates. The cultural night was a turning point for many students. It was an opportunity to celebrate their differences and discover common ground. It was a reminder that despite their diverse backgrounds, they were all part of the same Nigerian family. The shared experience of breaking bread and celebrating their cultures helped to build bridges between students from different regions. It fostered a sense of community and belonging, a feeling that FGC school was not just a school, but a home. This chapter highlights the power of food and cultural exchange in fostering unity and understanding. It's important to keep showing how these interactions are impacting the characters' perspectives and relationships. Academic pressure was a constant presence at FGC school. The school's reputation for excellence meant that students were constantly striving to excel, competing for top grades and coveted spots in prestigious universities. The upcoming midterm exams loomed large, casting a shadow over the students' daily lives. Study groups began to form, with students from different regions and backgrounds coming together to share their knowledge and support each other. Amina, determined to maintain her academic standing, joined a study group for mathematics. The group consisted of students from diverse backgrounds, including Chidi, who was surprisingly adept at solving complex equations. "This is a tough one," Chidi said, pointing to a problem on the whiteboard. "Anyone have any ideas?" Amina, who had been quietly working on the problem, raised her hand. "I think I have a solution," she said, her voice hesitant. She stepped forward and began to explain her approach, her clear and logical reasoning impressing her classmates. Chidi, initially skeptical, nodded in agreement. "That's brilliant, Amina," he said. "I would have never thought of that." Ibro, who was struggling with the subject, listened attentively, his eyes wide with admiration. He had always been intimidated by mathematics, but Amina's explanation made it seem less daunting. Tolu, who was also part of the study group, contributed her own insights, her sharp analytical skills adding to the group's collective knowledge. The study group became a space where students could learn from each other, regardless of their cultural or social backgrounds. Jerry, who was in the same study group, had issues focusing. He would often distract the group with jokes or drift off. Chidi would try to keep him on task. Another study group formed for English literature, and that one included Fatih. They began discussing the set text, a Nigerian novel that explored themes of cultural identity and social change. The discussion was lively and engaging, with students sharing their diverse perspectives and interpretations. "I think the author is trying to show the clash between tradition and modernity," Fatih said, her voice thoughtful. "The characters are struggling to find their place in a changing society." "I agree," Tolu added. "But I also think the novel highlights the importance of preserving our cultural heritage." The study groups not only facilitated academic success but also fostered a sense of camaraderie and collaboration. They provided a platform for students to share their knowledge, challenge each other's ideas, and build lasting friendships. Through these shared academic experiences, the students began to see each other as individuals, rather than representatives of their tribes or religions. They discovered common ground, shared interests, and mutual respect. The pressure of exams, paradoxically, created a bonding experience. The group study sessions, which often extended late into the night, were filled with laughter, debates, and shared anxieties. The students were learning that academic success was not just about individual achievement, it was also about collaboration and support. A seemingly minor incident in the classroom sparked a significant cultural misunderstanding, highlighting the differing social customs between the northern and southern students. After a particularly engaging history lesson, Mrs. Ode dismissed the class. As the students began to pack their bags, Chidi, in his characteristic friendly manner, extended his hand to Amina. "Good class," he said with a smile. Amina, however, recoiled slightly, her eyes widening in surprise. She hesitated for a moment, then offered a curt nod instead of a handshake. Chidi, taken aback, withdrew his hand, a look of confusion on his face. He couldn't understand Amina's reaction. A handshake was a common gesture of greeting and friendship in his culture. Amina, feeling a mixture of embarrassment and discomfort, quickly gathered her belongings and left the classroom. She had been taught that physical contact with men outside of her family was inappropriate. Chidi's gesture, though well-intentioned, had made her feel uneasy. Word of the handshake incident quickly spread through the student body. Some students, particularly those from the South, saw Amina's reaction as prudish and old-fashioned. Others, particularly those from the North, understood and sympathized with her cultural sensitivity. Tolu, observing the situation with her usual analytical eye, saw it as a clash between tradition and modernity. "It's just a handshake," she argued. "People need to be more open-minded." Fatih, however, defended Amina. "It's not just a handshake," she said. "It's about respect for her culture and her beliefs." Ibro, witnessing the fallout from the incident, felt a sense of awkwardness. He understood both sides of the issue. He knew that handshakes were not customary in his community, but he also recognized Chidi's friendly intentions. Chidi, feeling hurt and confused, confided in Jerry. "I didn't mean to offend her," he said. "I was just being friendly." "I know, man," Jerry replied. "But you have to understand, things are different in the North. You need to be more sensitive to their customs." The incident prompted a discussion in Mr. 8's civics class about cultural sensitivity and the importance of respecting different traditions. Mr. Ode emphasized that FGC school was a place where students should learn to appreciate diversity, not judge it. "We all come from different backgrounds," he said. "And we all have different ways of expressing ourselves. It's important to be mindful of these differences and to avoid making assumptions or judgments." The handshake incident, though seemingly minor, served as a valuable lesson for the students. It highlighted the importance of communication, understanding, and respect in navigating cultural differences. It was a reminder that even well-intentioned gestures could be misinterpreted, and that it was crucial to be sensitive to the diverse customs and beliefs of others. It also showed that even in a seemingly unified environment, old habits and beliefs can cause friction. Sports played a significant role in the social life of FGC school. The inter-house football competition was a highly anticipated event, with students passionately supporting their respective houses. However, the rivalry also became a platform for cultural expression and, at times, conflict. Chidi, a talented midfielder, was a star player for his house team. His skillful dribbling and powerful shots made him a crowd favorite. Jerry, a strong defender, was equally crucial to the team's success. Ibro, though not a skilled football player, was an enthusiastic supporter. He would often join the other students in cheering on their house team, his voice filled with excitement. Amina and Fatih, along with other girls, would also attend the matches, their presence adding to the vibrant atmosphere. They would support their housemates, their cheers and chants echoing across the field. The rivalry between different houses was intense, but it also took on a cultural dimension. Students from different regions would often use the matches as an opportunity to display their cultural pride. One particular match, between Chidi's house and a house with a predominantly northern student population, became a flashpoint. The game was fiercely contested, with both teams displaying exceptional skill and determination. As the match progressed, the atmosphere became increasingly charged. The crowd, fueled by passion and excitement, began to chant and sing, some of their chants taking on a tribalistic tone. Chidi, caught up in the heat of the moment, scored a crucial goal, his celebration sparking a mixed reaction from the crowd. Some students cheered wildly, while others booed and jeered. After the match, tensions boiled over. A minor altercation broke out between supporters of the two teams, with insults and accusations being hurled back and forth. Chidi, witnessing the scene, felt a sense of disappointment. He had hoped that the football match would be a unifying event, but it had instead become a source of division. Ibro, observing the conflict, felt a sense of unease. He had enjoyed the excitement of the match, but he was disturbed by the tribalistic undertones. The football rivalry highlighted the complex interplay between sports, cultural identity, and social cohesion. It demonstrated that even in a seemingly unifying activity, cultural differences could lead to conflict. However, it also showed the power of sports to evoke passion, excitement, and a sense of belonging. The challenge lay in harnessing that power in a positive way, promoting unity and respect rather than division and conflict. This shows how even sports, a supposedly unifying activity, can become a battleground for cultural tensions. Remember to keep developing the characters' emotional responses and how these events shape their relationships. Of the school dance sent ripples of excitement and apprehension through FGC school. For some students, it was a chance to celebrate, to socialize, and to express themselves. For others, it was a source of anxiety, a reminder of their cultural differences and social awkwardness. Chidi, a natural dancer, was thrilled. He looked forward to showcasing his moves and enjoying the company of his friends. Jerry, while less enthusiastic about dancing, was eager to socialize. Ibro, however, felt a sense of unease. He had never been to a dance before, and the idea of dancing with girls made him nervous. He wasn't sure if his traditional upbringing would allow him to participate. Amina, too, felt conflicted. She enjoyed music and dancing, but she was unsure if it was appropriate for her to attend a mixed-gender social event. She sought guidance from Fatih. "What do you think, Fatih?" she asked. "Should we go to the dance?" Fatih, who was more open-minded than Amina, replied, "Of course. It'll be fun. We can dress up, listen to music, and spend time with our friends." "But is it appropriate?" Amina persisted. "I'm not sure if my parents would approve." "We can ask Mrs. Lucy for permission," Fatih suggested. "She'll understand." The day of the dance arrived, and the school hall was transformed into a dazzling spectacle of lights and music. Students, dressed in their finest attire, began to arrive, their faces filled with anticipation. Chidi, dressed in a stylish outfit, was the first one on the dance floor, his energetic moves setting the tone for the evening. Jerry, after some initial hesitation, joined him, his awkward attempt at dancing drawing laughter from his friends. Ibro, standing at the edge of the dance floor, watched the scene with a mixture of fascination and apprehension. He felt a strong urge to join in, but he was held back by his cultural inhibitions. Amina and Fatih, after getting permission from Mrs. Lucy, arrived at the dance, their faces flushed with excitement. They joined a group of girls, their laughter echoing through the hall. As the music played, students from different regions and backgrounds began to mingle, their cultural differences momentarily forgotten in the shared joy of dancing. However, subtle cultural nuances were still present. Chidi, in his usual friendly manner, approached Amina and extended his hand for a dance. Amina, remembering the handshake incident, hesitated for a moment. But this time, she decided to be more open-minded. She accepted his hand, and they began to dance, their movements a blend of northern grace and southern energy. Ibro, witnessing this, felt a pang of jealousy. He wished he had the courage to ask a girl to dance. The school dance, like many other events at FGC school, became a microcosm of the cultural dynamics within the school. It was a place where students celebrated their differences, navigated social awkwardness, and forged new connections. It was a reminder that even in a seemingly unified environment, cultural nuances played a significant role in shaping social interactions. It also demonstrated the power of music and dance to transcend cultural boundaries and create a shared sense of joy and community. Heated debate erupted in the school's debating society, highlighting the differing views on tradition versus modernity among the students. The topic was, should Nigeria embrace Western values to progress? Tolu, a strong advocate for modernity, argued passionately in favor of embracing Western values. We need to modernize our society, she declared, to compete in the globalized world. We need to adopt Western technology, Western education, and Western ways of thinking. Amina, however, countered with a strong defense of tradition. We should not abandon our cultural heritage, she argued. Our traditions are what make us who we are. We can embrace progress without sacrificing our values. The debate became a platform for students to express their diverse perspectives on the issue. Chidi, ever the pragmatist, argued for a balanced approach. We can learn from the West, he said, but we should also preserve our own traditions. We need to find a way to blend the best of both worlds. Ibro, initially hesitant to speak, was eventually persuaded to share his views. We should not blindly follow the West, he said. We need to chart our own course, based on our own values and our own needs. The debate became heated, with students passionately defending their positions. The clash between tradition and modernity was a recurring theme at FGC school, and this debate brought it to the forefront. After the debate, Amina and Tolu found themselves in a heated discussion. You're being too rigid, Amina, Tolu said. You need to be more open to change. And you're being too dismissive of our traditions, Tolu, Amina retorted. You need to appreciate our heritage. Chidi, witnessing the argument, intervened. Come on, girls, he said. Let's not let this divide us. We can disagree without being disagreeable. He suggested that they try to understand each other's perspectives, rather than trying to convince each other. He proposed that they organize a forum where students could share their views on tradition and modernity in a respectful and constructive manner. The forum was a success, with students engaging in thoughtful discussions and learning from each other's experiences. It was a reminder that the clash between tradition and modernity was not a simple either/or proposition. It was a complex issue that required careful consideration, open dialogue, and a willingness to find common ground. A subtle but pervasive form of prejudice reared its head in the form of stereotypes. Students often made assumptions about each other based on their tribe, religion, or social class, leading to misunderstandings and hurt feelings. One day, during a casual conversation in the dormitory, Jerry made a stereotypical remark about Northern students being less academically inclined. You Northerners are good at memorizing things, he said, but you're not so good at critical thinking. Ibro, who was within earshot, felt a pang of anger and resentment. He had always excelled in his studies, and he resented being reduced to a stereotype. Amina, overhearing the remark, felt a similar sense of indignation. She knew that Jerry's comment was based on ignorance and prejudice. That's not true, Jerry, Amina retorted, her voice firm. You can't judge people based on their tribe. I didn't mean anything by it, Jerry said defensively. It's just a joke. It's not a joke, Ibro said, his voice trembling slightly. It's a stereotype, and it's hurtful. Chidi, witnessing the exchange, intervened. Come on, Jerry, he said. You know that's not true. We have plenty of brilliant students from the north. He pointed to Amina, who was one of the top students in their class. Amina is one of the smartest people I know. Jerry, realizing the impact of his words, apologized. I'm sorry, guys, he said. I didn't mean to offend anyone. I was just being stupid. The incident prompted a discussion among the students about the dangers of stereotyping. They realized that stereotypes were not only inaccurate but also harmful, as they could lead to prejudice, discrimination, and a sense of inferiority. We need to challenge these stereotypes, Chidi said. We need to show people that we are all individuals, not just representatives of our tribes or religions. The students decided to organize a workshop on cultural sensitivity, where they could share their experiences with stereotyping and learn how to challenge these harmful assumptions. The workshop was a success, with students openly discussing their prejudices and learning to appreciate the diversity within their community. It was a reminder that prejudice and stereotyping were not just abstract concepts, they had a real impact on people's lives. This highlights the dangers of stereotyping and the importance of challenging prejudice. It's crucial to keep showing the characters' emotional responses and how these events shape their relationships and perspectives. A sudden and unexpected downpour transformed the FGC school campus into a muddy swamp. The heavy rains, which lasted for hours, caused widespread flooding, inundating classrooms, dormitories, and the dining hall. The students were caught off guard, their initial excitement turning into panic as the water levels rose rapidly. The floodwaters threatened to damage their belongings and disrupt their studies. Chidi, ever the resourceful one, quickly took charge. "We need to work together," he declared. "We need to help each other." He organized a group of students to help evacuate the dormitories, carrying belongings to higher ground. Jerry, despite his initial reluctance, joined in, his strong physique proving invaluable. Ibro, despite his initial shyness, offered his assistance, helping to sandbag doorways to prevent further flooding. Amina and Fatih, along with other girls, helped to distribute food and water to the affected students. Tolu, despite her initial disdain for manual labor, surprised everyone by her willingness to help. She organized a team to clean up the flooded classrooms, her leadership skills shining through. The flood became a shared crisis, forcing the students to set aside their cultural differences and work together for a common goal. They realized that their individual strengths, when combined, could overcome any challenge. The boys worked together to create channels for the water to drain, and the girls worked to ensure everyone had access to clean water and food. The floodwaters eventually receded, leaving behind a trail of mud and debris. But it also left behind a stronger sense of unity and camaraderie among the students. They had faced a crisis together, and they had emerged stronger as a result. The flood had washed away not only the mud but also some of the barriers that had divided them. The shared experience of the flood helped to break down stereotypes and build empathy. The students realized that they were all vulnerable, regardless of their tribe, religion, or social class. They learned to appreciate each other's strengths and support each other's weaknesses. This shows how a shared crisis can force people to overcome their differences and work together. It's important to continue to show how these events are shaping the characters' perspectives and relationships. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on future videos. Eid in Maloli. The approach of Eid el-Kabir brought a unique atmosphere to FGC school. For the Muslim students, it was a time of celebration, reflection, and community. For the non-Muslim students, it was an opportunity to learn about a different culture and participate in a shared experience. Amina and Fatih, along with other Muslim girls, began preparing for the festival, decorating their dormitory rooms and preparing traditional dishes. They shared stories about their families' Eid celebrations, their voices filled with anticipation and joy. Ibro, too, was excited about the festival. He looked forward to the prayers, the feasting, and the sense of community that it brought. Chidi, ever curious, asked Amina and Ibro about the significance of Eid. They explained the story of Prophet Ibro's sacrifice and the importance of charity and compassion. It's a time for us to remember our blessings and share them with those less fortunate, Amina explained. We also celebrate the spirit of sacrifice and obedience to God, Ibro added. The school administration, recognizing the importance of cultural understanding, decided to organize an Eid celebration for all students. They arranged for a special prayer service, followed by a feast of traditional dishes. On the morning of Eid, the Muslim students gathered for prayers, their voices echoing through the assembly hall. The non-Muslim students observed the service, their faces filled with curiosity and respect. After the prayers, the feast began. Students from different backgrounds shared meals, their conversations a mix of laughter and cultural exchange. They tried new dishes, learned about different customs, and discovered common ground. Tolu, who had initially been skeptical about the celebration, found herself enjoying the festive atmosphere. She tried different dishes, chatted with Muslim students, and learned about the significance of Eid. "It's actually quite interesting," she admitted to Fatih. "I didn't realize how much it meant to you guys." The Eid celebration was a reminder of the power of cultural exchange to bridge divides and foster understanding. It was an opportunity for students to learn about each other's traditions and appreciate the diversity within their community. However, some subtle tensions remained. Some students felt uncomfortable participating in a religious celebration that was not their own. Others felt that the school was giving preferential treatment to Muslim students. Mr. Ade, recognizing these concerns, addressed the students during the assembly. "We are a school of unity," he said. "We aim to respect all cultures and religions. Participating in another celebration allows us to understand them better. It does not mean you are converting." He emphasized that the Eid celebration was not about religious conversion but about cultural appreciation. He encouraged students to approach cultural differences with curiosity and respect, rather than fear or suspicion. The Eid celebration, like many other events at FGC school, was a microcosm of the cultural dynamics within the school. It was a place where students celebrated their differences, navigated cultural sensitivities, and forged new connections. It was a reminder that cultural understanding was not just about tolerance, it was about appreciation and respect. A friendship tested. The close confines of the boarding house fostered strong friendships, but cultural differences sometimes created friction, testing the bonds between students. Amina and Fatih, despite their close friendship, sometimes found themselves at odds due to their differing views on certain social customs. Fatih, more open to modern influences, sometimes teased Amina for her more conservative beliefs. One day, Fatih invited Amina to join her and some other girls for a picnic outside the school grounds. Amina, however, hesitated, explaining that she needed to seek permission from her parents first. "Come on, Amina," Fatih said, her voice slightly impatient. "It's just a picnic. What's the big deal?" "It's not that simple, Fatih," Amina replied. "I need to respect my parents' wishes." Fatih, feeling frustrated, accused Amina of being too rigid and old-fashioned. Amina, hurt by Fatih's words, felt a pang of resentment. The incident created a rift between the two friends. Fatih felt that Amina was holding her back, while Amina felt that Fatih was disrespecting her values. Meanwhile, Chidi and Ibro's friendship was also tested by cultural differences. Chidi, outgoing and boisterous, sometimes found Ibro's quietness and reserve frustrating. "Why are you always so quiet, Ibro?" Chidi asked one day. "You need to loosen up a bit." Ibro, feeling self-conscious, replied, "I'm just not as talkative as you are." "But you never say anything," Chidi exclaimed. "It's like talking to a wall." Ibro, hurt by Chidi's words, felt a sense of inadequacy. He felt that Chidi was judging him for being different. The incident highlighted the challenges of maintaining friendships across cultural divides. It demonstrated that even close friends could have differing values, beliefs, and communication styles. However, it also showed the resilience of friendship. Despite their disagreements, Amina and Fatih eventually reconciled. They realized that their friendship was more important than their differences. They learned to respect each other's perspectives, even when they didn't agree. Chidi and Ibro also found a way to bridge their differences. Chidi learned to appreciate Ibro's quietness and thoughtfulness, while Ibro learned to be more assertive and open with Chidi. The challenges they faced strengthened their bonds, teaching them valuable lessons about empathy, understanding, and acceptance. True friendship, they learned, was about embracing differences, not erasing them. The Entrepreneurship Challenge. A school-wide entrepreneurship challenge provided another opportunity for the students to showcase their talents and navigate their cultural differences. The challenge required teams to develop a business idea, create a business plan, and pitch their idea to a panel of judges. Chidi, with his natural entrepreneurial spirit, was in his element. He quickly formed a team with Jerry, Amina, and Ibro, recognizing the diverse skills and perspectives that each member brought to the table. "We need a winning idea," Chidi declared, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "Something innovative and profitable." The team brainstormed various ideas, their cultural backgrounds influencing their suggestions. Chidi, drawing on his knowledge of the southern market, proposed a mobile app that connected buyers and sellers of local produce. Jerry, with his tech savvy, suggested a platform for online tutoring. Amina, mindful of her community's needs, proposed a microfinance initiative for women entrepreneurs. Ibro, drawing on his rural background, suggested a sustainable farming project that utilized traditional techniques. Initially, they struggled to agree on a single idea, their differing perspectives leading to some friction. Chidi, eager to move forward, sometimes dismissed Amina and Ibro's suggestions as being too traditional or impractical. Amina, in turn, felt that Chidi was being too focused on profit and not enough on social impact. Ibro, hesitant to assert himself, often remained silent, his ideas going unheard. Tolu, observing their struggles, offered some advice. "You need to listen to each other," she said. "You need to find a way to combine your ideas and create something that reflects all of your strengths." Taking Tolu's advice, the team decided to merge Amina's microfinance idea with Chidi's app concept, creating a platform that connected women entrepreneurs with investors and provided them with access to financial resources and business training. They also incorporated Ibro's sustainable farming concept, offering loans and training to women involved in agriculture. The project became a microcosm of the challenges and opportunities of navigating cultural diversity. The students had to learn to listen to each other, respect each other's perspectives, and find creative solutions that reflected their diverse backgrounds. They also learned that their cultural differences could be a source of strength, as they brought a wider range of ideas and skills to the table. Their final presentation was a testament to their collaboration and creativity. The judges were impressed by their innovative idea, their comprehensive business plan, and their passionate pitch. The team won the challenge, their success a result of their ability to bridge their cultural differences and work together towards a common goal. Lost in translation. A seemingly innocuous comment in a literature class sparked a significant cultural misunderstanding, highlighting the diverse interpretations of language and symbolism. The class was discussing a poem that used the metaphor of a lion to represent courage and strength. Mrs. Okon, the teacher, asked the students to share their interpretations of the metaphor. Chidi, drawing on his understanding of popular culture, said, "The lion represents power and bravery, like a superhero." Tolu, with her westernized perspective, added, "It's a symbol of royalty and leadership, like in European history." Amina, however, offered a different interpretation. "In my culture," she said, "the lion can also represent danger and destruction. It's a powerful animal, but it can also be a threat." Ibro, who had been listening quietly, nodded in agreement. "In my village," he said, "the lion is often associated with traditional spirits and ancestral power. It's a symbol of respect, but also of caution." Mrs. Okon, initially surprised by the diverse interpretations, realized the richness of the students' cultural perspectives. "That's fascinating," she said. "It shows how our cultural backgrounds shape our understanding of language and symbolism." However, not all students appreciated the different interpretations. Jerry, impatient with what he perceived as unnecessary complexity, dismissed Amina and Ibro's views. "It's just a poem," he said. "Why are you guys making it so complicated?" Amina, feeling misunderstood, felt a pang of frustration. She felt that Jerry was dismissing her cultural perspective as irrelevant. Ibro, too, felt a sense of unease. He felt that his traditional beliefs were being ridiculed. The incident highlighted the challenges of interpreting language and symbolism across cultures. It demonstrated that even seemingly universal metaphors could have different meanings depending on one's cultural background. It also exposed the potential for cultural misunderstandings to create friction in the classroom, impacting learning and relationships. Students needed to be mindful of the diverse perspectives within their community and avoid making assumptions about each other's interpretations. Mrs. Okon, recognizing the tension, facilitated a discussion about the importance of cultural sensitivity in literary analysis. She emphasized that there was no single, correct interpretation of the poem, and that all perspectives were valid and valuable. She encouraged the students to learn from each other's cultural backgrounds and to appreciate the richness of diverse interpretations. An act of generosity. A sudden illness in Ibro's family back home created a financial crisis, threatening his ability to continue his education at FGC school. News of his plight spread through the student body, prompting an unexpected act of generosity that transcended cultural boundaries. Chidi, hearing of Ibro's situation, felt a surge of empathy. He knew how much Ibro valued his education, and he couldn't bear to see him forced to drop out. He decided to organize a fundraising drive among the students. "We need to help Ibro," Chidi declared to his friends. "He's one of us, and we can't let him down." Jerry, despite his initial reservations, readily agreed to help. He used his social media skills to spread the word about the fundraising drive, reaching students from all corners of the campus. Amina and Fatih, deeply moved by Ibro's predicament, contributed generously from their own savings. They also encouraged other Muslim girls to donate, emphasizing the Islamic value of charity and compassion. Tolu, despite her privileged background, was one of the first to contribute to the fund. She recognized Ibro's potential and believed that everyone deserved an opportunity to pursue their dreams. The response to the fundraising drive was overwhelming. Students from different tribes, religions, and social classes contributed generously, demonstrating a remarkable spirit of unity and compassion. Even students who had previously clashed with Ibro set aside their differences and offered their support. Ibro, initially unaware of the fundraising effort, was deeply touched when Chidi informed him of the students' generosity. He felt a surge of gratitude, realizing that he was not alone in his struggles. "I don't know how to thank you all," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "This means the world to me." The funds raised were more than enough to cover Ibro's family expenses and ensure that he could continue his education. The act of generosity not only helped Ibro in his time of need but also strengthened the bonds between the students, demonstrating the power of compassion to overcome cultural divides. It was a reminder that despite their differences, they were all part of the same human family, bound by a shared sense of empathy and a commitment to helping each other. The act of kindness also challenged stereotypes, demonstrating that compassion and generosity were not limited to any particular tribe or religion. Tradition remixed. The students of FGC school, eager to express their cultural identities in a modern context, began to adapt and remix traditional practices, leading to both creative innovation and unintended consequences. Chidi, with his love for music and dance, decided to organize a cultural fusion event, blending traditional Nigerian dances with contemporary Afrobeats. He encouraged students from different regions to participate, creating a vibrant mix of rhythms, styles, and expressions. Amina, initially hesitant, was eventually persuaded to join. She incorporated traditional Hausa dance moves into a contemporary choreography, her graceful movements captivating the audience. Ibro, encouraged by Chidi, played the talking drum, his rhythmic beats blending seamlessly with the Afrobeat melodies. Tolu, with her flair for fashion, designed a collection of clothing that blended traditional Nigerian fabrics with modern styles. She showcased her designs at a school fashion show, her creations receiving widespread acclaim. The cultural fusion event was a success, showcasing the students' creativity and their ability to adapt and modernize their traditions. It was a celebration of Nigeria's rich cultural heritage, presented in a way that resonated with a younger generation. However, the modernization of traditions also had its challenges. Some students, in their eagerness to embrace modernity, inadvertently distorted or trivialized traditional practices. A group of boys, attempting to recreate a traditional masquerade, used cheap materials and exaggerated costumes, turning the sacred ritual into a comical spectacle. Amina, witnessing this, felt a pang of disappointment. She felt that the boys were disrespecting a tradition that was deeply meaningful to her culture. Ibro, too, felt uneasy. He felt that some of the modernized dances and music had lost their spiritual significance, becoming mere entertainment. The modernization of traditions highlighted the delicate balance between preserving cultural heritage and adapting to a changing world. It demonstrated the potential for creativity and innovation, but also the risk of cultural appropriation and trivialization. The students learned that it was important to approach tradition with respect and understanding, even as they sought to express it in new and innovative ways. They realized that modernization should not mean the erasure of tradition, but rather a thoughtful and respectful evolution. Bridging faiths. A school-wide initiative to promote interfaith dialogue provided a platform for students to learn about each other's religions, fostering understanding and cooperation. Mr. Ade and Mrs. Lucy, recognizing the importance of interfaith harmony, organized a series of workshops and discussions where students could share their beliefs, ask questions, and challenge stereotypes. Amina and Ibro, representing the Muslim faith, actively participated in the initiative. They explained the core tenets of Islam, the importance of prayer, and the values of compassion and charity. Chidi and Jerry, representing Christianity, shared their understanding of the Bible, the teachings of Jesus, and the importance of love and forgiveness. Tolu, who identified as agnostic, approached the initiative with an open mind, eager to learn about the different faiths represented in the school. The Interfaith Dialogue Initiative was a success, fostering a sense of mutual respect and understanding among the students. They learned that despite their differing beliefs, they shared common values, such as the importance of family, community, and helping those in need. One particular event, a joint prayer session, had a profound impact on the students. Muslim and Christian students gathered together, each group offering prayers according to their own traditions. The shared experience of prayer, despite the different forms, created a sense of unity and spiritual connection. Amina, deeply moved by the experience, said, "I felt a sense of peace and connection with everyone, regardless of their religion." Chidi added, "It was amazing to see how much we have in common, even though we have different ways of expressing our faith." Ibro, initially hesitant, felt a sense of belonging and acceptance. He realized that his faith was respected and appreciated, even by those who did not share his beliefs. Tolu, who had never participated in a religious service before, found the experience surprisingly meaningful. She said, "I felt a sense of community and shared purpose. It made me realize that faith can be a powerful force for good." The Interfaith Dialogue Initiative not only fostered understanding but also led to practical cooperation. Muslim and Christian students joined forces to organize a charity drive for a local orphanage, demonstrating their shared commitment to helping those in need. This chapter highlights the power of interfaith dialogue and cooperation to bridge divides and foster understanding. It underscores the importance of creating spaces where people of different faiths can learn from each other, challenge stereotypes, and work together for the common good. The election echoes. The lead-up to a national election cast a long shadow over FGC school, exacerbating existing cultural and political tensions within the school community. The students, reflecting the divisions within the larger society, found themselves caught in the crosscurrents of political debate and ethnic loyalty. Chidi, a staunch supporter of one political party, passionately campaigned for his candidate, engaging in heated debates with students who held opposing views. Jerry, while sharing Chidi's political leanings, was more cautious in his approach, recognizing the potential for conflict. Amina and Ibro, coming from a region where political affiliations often aligned with ethnic identities, found themselves under pressure to support candidates favored by their communities. They felt torn between their personal convictions and their loyalty to their cultural groups. Tolu, with her cosmopolitan background, approached the election with a critical eye, questioning the rhetoric of all the political parties. She encouraged her classmates to vote based on issues, not on ethnic or religious affiliations. The election campaign created a palpable tension within the school. Students engaged in heated arguments, sometimes resulting to insults and accusations. Ethnic and religious stereotypes resurfaced, threatening to undermine the progress that had been made in fostering unity and understanding. One particularly heated debate erupted in the school's debating society, with students passionately defending their political choices. The debate became a platform for the expression of deeply held beliefs and prejudices. After the election results were announced, the school community was further divided. Students who supported the winning candidates celebrated, while those who supported the losing candidates felt a sense of disappointment and anger. The election echoes highlighted the complex interplay between politics, ethnicity, and religion in Nigeria. It demonstrated how external events could exacerbate existing cultural tensions and threaten social cohesion. Mr. Ade and Mrs. Lucy, recognizing the potential for further conflict, organized a series of workshops on civic responsibility and conflict resolution. They emphasized the importance of respecting different political views and engaging in peaceful dialogue. They also reminded the students that despite their political differences, they were all members of the same school community, bound by a shared commitment to unity and understanding. The election, they argued, should not divide them but rather inspire them to work together to build a better Nigeria. A new voice. The arrival of a new English teacher, Mr. Okeke, brought a fresh perspective to FGC school, challenging some of the existing cultural norms and sparking both positive change and unexpected friction. Mr. Okeke, a young and dynamic teacher from the Southeast, had a passion for literature and a progressive approach to education. He encouraged open discussion, critical thinking, and challenged his students to question traditional authority. His teaching style was a stark contrast to some of the more traditional teachers, who favored rote learning and strict discipline. Mr. Okeke's classes were lively and engaging, with students actively participating in debates and sharing their diverse perspectives. Chidi, with his natural curiosity and love for debate, thrived in Mr. Okeke's class. He appreciated the teacher's willingness to challenge conventional wisdom and his encouragement of critical thinking. Tolu, too, found Mr. Okeke's teaching style refreshing. She enjoyed the freedom to express her opinions and the opportunity to engage in intellectual discussions. Amina, initially hesitant, gradually warmed up to Mr. Okeke's approach. She appreciated his respect for diverse viewpoints and his encouragement of female students to speak their minds. Ibro, however, felt somewhat uneasy with Mr. Okeke's emphasis on questioning authority. He had been raised to respect elders and teachers, and he found it difficult to challenge their views. Mr. Okeke's arrival also ruffled some feathers among the more traditional teachers. Some felt that his progressive methods were undermining their authority and disrupting the school's established norms. One particular incident sparked a heated debate. Mr. Okeke assigned his students a controversial novel that challenged traditional gender roles. Some parents complained, arguing that the book was inappropriate for their children. The school administration, caught between the demands of tradition and the desire for progress, found itself in a difficult position. Mr. Ade and Mrs. Lucy attempted to mediate the situation, emphasizing the importance of both cultural sensitivity and academic freedom. Mr. Okeke, while defending his choice of the novel, also acknowledged the concerns of the parents. He organized a discussion forum where students, parents, and teachers could share their views and find common ground. The arrival of Mr. Okeke highlighted the ongoing tension between tradition and modernity at FGC school. It demonstrated the potential for new perspectives to challenge existing norms and spark both positive change and unexpected friction. It also underscored the importance of open dialogue and mutual respect in navigating cultural differences and fostering a learning environment that embraced both tradition and progress. Challenging roles. A school-wide debate on gender equality sparked a lively discussion at FGC school, challenging the students' preconceived notions about traditional gender roles. The debate, organized by the school's Gender Equality Club, focused on the topic, "Are traditional gender roles still relevant in modern Nigeria?" Amina, initially hesitant to speak, found herself drawn into the debate. She argued that while some traditional gender roles could be restrictive, others were valuable and should be preserved. She emphasized the importance of respecting women's roles as mothers and caregivers, while also advocating for equal opportunities in education and employment. Chidi, with his progressive views, argued strongly in favor of gender equality. He challenged the notion that women were inherently less capable than men and advocated for equal rights and opportunities for all. Ibro, influenced by his traditional upbringing, expressed some reservations about challenging traditional gender roles. He argued that men and women had different but complementary roles to play in society. Tolu, with her feminist perspective, argued passionately for a complete dismantling of traditional gender roles. She challenged the patriarchal structures that she believed oppressed women and advocated for a society where gender was irrelevant. The debate became a platform for students to express their diverse perspectives on gender equality. It highlighted the tension between tradition and modernity, as well as the different interpretations of gender roles within different cultural contexts. One particular incident sparked a heated exchange. A male student argued that women should not be allowed to hold leadership positions, citing traditional beliefs about male dominance. Amina, feeling a surge of anger, challenged his view. "That's not fair," she said. "Women are just as capable as men. We should have the same opportunities." Chidi and Tolu supported Amina's argument, challenging the student's traditional beliefs. Ibro, while not fully agreeing with the student, expressed some sympathy for his perspective, emphasizing the importance of respecting traditional values. The debate highlighted the complexities of navigating gender roles in a multicultural society. It demonstrated the need for open dialogue, critical thinking, and a willingness to challenge traditional norms. The students learned that gender equality was not just about legal rights but also about changing attitudes and challenging deeply ingrained beliefs. They realized that achieving true gender equality required a collective effort, with both men and women working together to dismantle patriarchal structures and promote equal opportunities for all. A tapestry woven. As their time at FGC school drew to a close, the students reflected on their experiences, recognizing the profound impact that the school had had on their lives. The cultural clashes, the misunderstandings, the challenges, and the triumphs had woven a rich tapestry of learning and growth. They had learned to navigate their differences, to appreciate each other's cultures, and to forge lasting friendships that transcended ethnic and religious boundaries. Amina, once hesitant and reserved, had blossomed into a confident and articulate young woman. She had learned to embrace her cultural heritage while also challenging traditional norms. She was determined to pursue her education and become a leader in her community. Chidi, ever the charismatic and outgoing one, had learned the importance of cultural sensitivity and the value of listening to diverse perspectives. He had become a passionate advocate for unity and understanding, recognizing the power of dialogue to bridge divides. Ibro, initially shy and insecure, had found his voice and his place in the school community. He had learned to assert himself, to share his cultural insights, and to appreciate the richness of Nigeria's diversity. Tolu, with her sharp intellect and analytical mind, had learned the importance of empathy and compassion. She had come to appreciate the value of tradition and the complexities of cultural identity. The students organized a farewell celebration, a vibrant display of the unity and diversity that had come to define FGC school. They shared stories, sang songs, and danced together, their laughter echoing through the halls of the school. Mr. Ade and Mrs. Lucy, watching the scene unfold, felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. They had witnessed the transformation of their students, their growth as individuals, and their development as responsible citizens of Nigeria. As the students prepared to leave FGC school, they carried with them not only academic knowledge but also invaluable life lessons. They had learned to navigate cultural differences, to challenge stereotypes, and to build bridges of understanding and friendship. They were ready to face the challenges of the wider world, equipped with the skills and the values to contribute to a more united and prosperous Nigeria. They understood that their differences made them stronger, and that their shared experiences had created a bond that would last a lifetime. 5 years after their graduation from FGC school, the former classmates found themselves reunited at a National Unity Conference in Abuja. The conference, focused on promoting intercultural understanding and national development, brought together leaders from across Nigeria. Amina, now a rising star in the field of women's empowerment, delivered a powerful speech on the importance of education and economic opportunities for girls in northern Nigeria. Her words resonated with the audience, reflecting her journey from a shy student to a confident advocate. Chidi, a successful entrepreneur, presented his innovative business model, a platform that connected rural farmers with urban markets. His project, inspired by his experiences at FGC school, aimed to bridge the gap between different regions and promote economic development. Ibro, now a respected community leader in his village, shared his insights on sustainable agriculture and rural development. He emphasized the importance of preserving traditional farming practices while also embracing modern technologies. Tolu, a prominent journalist and social commentator, moderated a panel discussion on the challenges of national unity. Her sharp questions and insightful commentary challenged the panelists to confront difficult issues and propose concrete solutions. During a break in the conference, the former classmates gathered, their faces beaming with joy and nostalgia. They reminisced about their time at FGC school, sharing stories of their cultural clashes, their friendships, and their personal growth. "Remember the bride prize brouhaha?" Chidi laughed, his eyes twinkling. "That was a disaster." "And the flood?" Amina added, shaking her head. "I never thought we'd get through that." "But we did," Ibro said, his voice filled with pride. "We got through everything, together." They acknowledged that their time at FGC school had been a transformative experience, shaping their perspectives and preparing them for the challenges of adulthood. They had learned to appreciate the richness of Nigeria's diversity, to challenge stereotypes, and to build bridges of understanding. They also recognized that the journey towards national unity was an ongoing process, requiring constant effort and commitment. They pledged to continue working together, in their respective fields, to build a more inclusive and prosperous Nigeria. As they parted ways, they carried with them not only the memories of their shared experiences but also a renewed sense of purpose and a deep commitment to the ideals of national unity. They knew that their time at FGC school had not just been a chapter in their lives, it had been a foundation for their future, a testament to the power of diversity to create a stronger, more united nation. Do not hesitate to reach out to us. We can tell you story of your days at FGC from your perspective. Drop your comments on other editions you are interested in seeing and we will reach out to you. Share this with one of you old friends way back. Pro Unitate. I really hope you found this video entertaining. If you did, please show some love by giving it a like. I'd also love to hear your thoughts and feedback in the comment section. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so you're the first to know when I upload new content. I'm always creating new videos, and I wouldn't want you to miss out. Thanks for watching.